So I'm going to start out with talking about how to become omnipresent. Who here knows what omnipresence is? Okay, 3 people, 4, 5? It's a little bit, 6, 7? Okay, so basically, omnipresence is being everywhere all the time. If you think of somebody like Gary Vee, he's essentially omnipresent, right? Or no, actually, you know who the perfect person? Somebody say his name. No, I was going to say top G, Andrew Tate. But yeah, Andrew Tate is basically omnipresent at this point, right? Like he's literally everywhere. In the media, he's on TikTok, he's doing a ton of things. But okay, let's get started. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do it within 6 months. So this is for you if you want to stop playing on the sidelines and start building an indestructible personal brand. If you want to level up and learn how to become or how to be everywhere. If you want to use PR as a marketing channel to bring in leads. And if you want to learn how to get paid more simply for just having a name, right? Okay, so how powerful is the media? Well, let's take a look, right? Andrew Tate got banned, canceled. How many people do you know that have some level of power and yet the media like just misconstrues them completely? Trump, right? He's actually the person on my next slide. Canceled, right? The president of the United States was bashed by the media for so long. So what does this mean? What does that show you? Media is powerful. This means if you use it to your favor, you can actually control the narrative, right? The goal of the media is to inform the public. So again, we want to control the narrative. You want to control the narrative of your brand. What happens if you control the narrative of your brand? We believe at Influencer Press that PR is organized truth. If you can control what somebody sees about you, you can really control what somebody thinks about you. Now, what happens when you enter a business deal, right? What happens if you're trying to get literally anything, right? You have a position of power, and that's where you want to be at. So, if you think that this speech is all about just talking about the big publications, then you're wrong, because that's probably the most basic form of PR. You can hire any PR agency to kind of get you these publications, right? That's not that special. But to leverage it, to utilize it as a marketing channel, to actually generate revenue from it, that's different, okay? So it's so powerful that I, at one point in my life, I think this was 4 or 5 years ago, was super close to speaking next to Kobe Bryant. That would have been insane, right? Now, who thinks I'm a 20-year-old prodigy and I deserve that? Okay, well, the answer is I don't. But, like speaking next to a legend like Kobe Bryant, that's insane, right? But the reason that was super close to making it happen, and by the way, where's Nathan? All right, so Nathan was the guy that almost made it happen for me. The only reason we were unable to do it is because there was no longer spaces in that slot. There's no more speaking slots, essentially. That's the only reason I didn't do it. If not, that would have been the highlight of my career. So, how does it look like when you're known? So basically, who here has ever experienced like the red carpet effect? When they go up, they show up somewhere, they get like a glass of water, maybe coffee. Like people basically like treat them like VIP, right? It's a good thing. I like love that stuff. That's why I do PR, right? Because it feels good to feel important. But that's not the only reason I do it. I do it because it also makes me more money. It also helps my clients make more money. So we do it all the time, right? So let's dive into all the frameworks for every single industry, okay? This is going to work for all the industries, and I'm going to walk you through it. So number 1, the first thing that we do when we work with a client is build up their presence. Because again, if somebody was to research you, right, you want to be able to control what they see about you. So we always recommend creating your $1 million story and your $1 million positioning, right? Controlling the narrative. We want to get 10 full articles. After that, you want to hop on podcasts, you want to do a couple of shows, and then get your first TV spot. Now, in this presentation, I'm actually going to give you the direct context so that you guys can get 2 TV spots. I fully expect everybody to get at least 1 out of the 2 scheduled by the end of next week, okay? And if you do, tag me. That'd be good, all right? So, anybody have questions on this first section? No. Now, the reason why we want to do this, right, is, well, let's consider these questions. What is one of the first things that people do before they buy? They do research. It's just natural, right? If you've never worked with somebody and you haven't built up that trust, they're going to research you, right? So how many clients are you missing out on because of first impressions? I can guarantee you, because of your first impressions, if somebody was to look at your social media, your website, or something like that, they think you might not be legit, might not be what they're looking for. You're going to miss out on that client, and they're going to go to a competitor, right? So how do you get a potential lead to consider you versus a competitor, and are you using press for anything else than just posting it on social media and your website? Again, if you're posting it on just social media and your website, that is the most basic form of PR, okay? And you can hire anybody to do that. All right, so what kinds of articles should you get written? There's different kinds, but number one is profile pieces, right? Those are the pieces that you usually see, where it's like, hey, Chris Winfield just entered, so let's say oh, he just exited his company, right? So they would profile Chris Winfield as being an amazing entrepreneur that just exited his company, blah, 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 right? You want expertise pieces. So basically, everybody in this room has a level of expertise. So why not get that shared out, right? People are not going to read usually entire articles at a time when they're researching, but they will skim, so you want to be able to control what they skim, okay? Objection handling. Who here, when you do sales, know exactly what objections are going to come up every single time? Good. Now, the thing is, everybody should do that. It's amazing to me to see sales reps that don't have these objection handling down. Objections are going to come up naturally, and there's usually only a few, right? Timing, it's a bad timing. Trust, they don't know you, or lack of funds. So what if you had the best objection to handle all of them, right? Well, you could do the same thing with PR. So control the narrative, focus on the VARC model. Who here knows what the VARC model is? And I know a few of my clients know that because we do the audits. But, okay, good. Anybody else? Nobody else knows? So the VARC model is, people like to learn through different ways, right? Not everybody likes to read. I'll give you an example. Like for me, when I watch a course, I don't watch a course. I get it transcribed and then I read it. That's just the way that I like to learn, right? But other people like to learn through video. Other people like to learn through listening to a podcast, right, when they're driving. You want to be able to control all aspects of that research. If you don't, you're only catering to one type of person, and you might be alienating the rest, okay? All right, example. So this is one way to do objection handling. So when I was 20, I would always get this objection. There was another PR company. Basically, his name was Andrew O'Brien. He was crushing it in his field. He was getting a lot of the big people. He was working with people like Russell Brunson and things like that. And they would always ask me, why would I work with you over your competitor, right? So I'm like, it's very hard to say on a sales call, be like, well, because I'm better, right? So instead, we get an article about that objection, right? So the title is $1 Million PR Companies Look to This 20-Year-Old for Advice, right? So instead of now me having to answer that, we now included that in the audit. We now sent that in beforehand, right? So now that doesn't come up. So you want to be able to objection handle, not by you doing it yourself, but by a third party doing it, right? Who's with me so far? All right, perfect. So control the narrative. So this is one. If you've ever wanted to get on Park City TV, which is one that I did, here are the emails, okay? So you're going to contact Christine at Park City TV, and you're also going to contact Danielle. They will get you scheduled. And as long as you mention my name, you'll get in, okay? If you don't, then I'll make sure they don't get, no, I'm just kidding. All right, so as soon as you guys get that, I'm going to give you one more. So another one, and by the way, you guys will get these slides just in case, all right? You guys will get these. Another one is ticker insights. Now, I'm giving you, these are not like high-level TV spots. But you know what they do? What have I been preaching about for like the last 5 slides? Control the narrative. So these TV spots allow you to get an 8-minute TV segment all about you. You get to control the questions asked. You get to control the answers. You get to control how it looks like. That's huge, right? You get to talk about your business entirely. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to get both of these. The only issue with this one is it's based in Australian time. So you might have to stay up a little late, okay? All right. So our motto, control, right? Just like I mentioned, I expect you guys to get both of these TV spots by the end of next week, okay? All right. 2, is permanence. We want to make sure that everything you get is now permanent. We don't want it to go away. We don't want you to get verified and then it goes away. We don't want you to get an article and it goes away, right? There's no point in doing something if it's just not going to be there, okay? So you want to start mapping out your social media game plan. Who here thinks social media content and stuff like that is very hard? Okay, one person, two people, all right. Why do you think it's hard, Ryan? I agree. And we actually have somebody in here who's great at capturing attention because they do ads a lot, and that's Tristan right behind you. So I recommend getting in contact with him right after this. But basically, when you're mapping out this content, guess what we just did? In the first phase, we just talked about you getting on TV, you getting on podcasts, and now you getting on articles. So guess what? You now no longer have to create the content because the content's already there now, right? And obviously, you're not going to post all of the articles at the same time. That's going to look like it's paid. You want to be able to post one article a week, a TV spot every 2 weeks, right? You want to make it look like you're growing, okay? You got to look at it perception-wise. If you post everything all at once, it's like a BS meter just, skyrockets, right? So you got to do it correctly. Then you want to get access to contributor accounts. Who here knows what contributor accounts are? Okay, good, a lot of people. So contributor accounts is where you develop your expertise by writing on those publications, okay? Now I'm going to give you some that are paid, but you can essentially do them if you pay for them, right? And obviously you have to meet their level of criteria, but I'm going to give you these, all 4 of these, okay? And then same thing with getting your business verified on Inc. So Inc verification, it's $50, okay? You can go to inc.com/verified, and you know what it does? It ranks for your name, okay? That's the most simplest thing you could do, but it helps out, okay? It almost looks like the Inc. 5000, like if you win that, but it's not. Okay. Now, high tier contributor accounts. I'm going to give you access to all 4 of these. So you want to go to Forbes Councils. You want to go to Entrepreneur Leadership Network. You want to go to Fast Company Execs. And you want to go to Rolling Stone Culture Council. Now, before, we would usually only get people on the Forbes and the Entrepreneur ones, right? But now there's 2 more. There's Rolling Stones and there's Fast Company. So basically, if you've ever wanted to write for these publications, this is a paid option. But you got to understand that these are licensed companies working with Fast Company. Okay? And all of these other publications. All right? Now, some of these publications offer the ability to pay you if you're writing for them. If you go this route, just know that won't be the case because you will now be paying them. Okay? All right. But to be honest, most people don't care about that. Most people care about getting on these sites and then writing for them, right? How much more of a credibility booster is it if you're writing for something like Fast Company? Right? That's huge. Okay. And then usually it's really good for a lead magnet. Let's say you get, on one of those, right? For me, I basically talk about how to get within those publications within the week, which is what you can do. You can get them within the week. But if you guys got access to those publications, you can now start developing your thought expertise and start posting about it, right? So, phase 3. This is when we're going to start to get to the high-level stuff. Now, some of the stuff might go over your head, and guess what? That's okay, because my goal for this entire event is for everybody to think bigger. There's a reason why the panel is a $1 million a month panel and not mainly an expertise panel. I want everybody to think bigger. I think that's probably the most beneficial thing that could happen today, right? Because I know for a lot of us, you can figure out the tactics and things like that later, but you won't be able to figure out what those are if you're not thinking big enough, because they just won't even pop up in your head. Okay? So this is how you start leveraging PR, right? This is where most people end up just messing up because they think getting press and getting branding and stuff like that is the end-all, be-all. That is the basic form. Again, that's the minimum you can do. Right? I just showed you how to get on TV. That was pretty simple, right? Everybody can do that. Now we want to get into the higher level stuff. So we have something called the barter system. Basically, I'm going to show you exactly how I was able to live in a $10 million mansion for 30 days. They extended it out to 60 days. The only reason we didn't do it for 60 days is because my girlfriend right there on the side was missing her dogs. So we had to go back. Okay. I was able to get a $12,000 Rolex for free. And I received $10,000 worth of free suits. This is one of them here. Okay. So basically what the barter system is this. So how many people here would love to just get press? Like, if you guys were featured on Forbes tomorrow, it would be like, badass. Okay, good. A lot of people raised up their hands. How many, how many people think that other people want that same thing? Yeah, exactly, right? So if people have things that you want, for example, I do masterminds all of the time, right? But I don't pay for these multi-million-dollar mansions. I usually never pay for them. In fact, that same strategy I used for this event. Now, I did pay for this event, but we got a discount because we're using this exact strategy. Okay, so basically, the barter system is now that you have access to those TV spots, now that you have access to those contributor accounts, you can then now barter with other individuals, not to get them featured, but you can say, hey, if you're interested in writing for Forbes or whatever, I can show you how to do it. It is a paid option if you allow me access to your mastermind. Now, who here throws mastermind events where they charge people high ticket and they do events and stuff like that? Chris does. Oh, Chris is a master at those, actually. Cody does. Yep, Seth. Cool. So if you guys ever wanted to get free catering, free locations, we rented free exotics. Daniel Blue was not here right now, but he was at our last mastermind. And we basically got free exotics the whole time, and we were, chit-chatting and stuff like that, the entire time. So imagine when you're doing these events, you no longer have an overhead. You now get to be able to utilize these events at a much larger scale, and now everything that you bring in is profit, right? That's exactly what you're looking for, okay? Same thing with a Rolex. Let's say you like a Rolex. Let's say I get free things like almost every week, okay? I'm a big grill fanatic, so I got this badass I forgot what it's called, but it's basically like a place where I can prepare my meat and stuff like that. Yeah, it's basically like a kitchenette, but I forgot what it's called exactly. But yeah, so I get stuff all the time. I recommend it. Speaker system. So this is another level higher, right? Who here speaks on stage and generate money from events? Good. Now, would you guys say that it's a great revenue driver? 100%. It's another marketing channel. Who here would love to speak at events? Good. Who here thinks it's hard to speak at events? Nobody? Okay. One person? All right. Well, so basically, let me just walk through the slide really quick. So I'm going to show you exactly how I was able to book 16 events in just 4 weeks, how I used to get paid $20,000 per event. Now I get paid a lot more. Last event that we did was $65,000, and how you can book events within 30 days or less. Okay. So remember the barter system that we just talked about, right? Where you use it for masterminds and stuff like that, and you use it for free suits and Rolexes. What if you did that with events? What if you contacted the event organizer or the host of the event that you want to go speak at, and you basically tell them the same thing? Be like, hey, I'd love to speak at your event. I would love to get press on it. I write for XX and X. I can get you guys on TV, 2 TV spots for free, right? If you allow me to speak for 30 minutes or for an hour. Do you think now they might consider you? 100%, because guess what? You're no longer competing with everybody else based off of your name. There's so many other people that are much bigger than me, right? And not just height-wise, but bigger than me, right? So, but I get these events because we do this as a system. Our team literally does that every single day, right? Now, that's just getting the event part, right? Which is, again, the easy part. The hard part is leveraging it to generate revenue, okay? So this is how we generate revenue. So basically, at every event that you go to, normally, if you do it correctly, you should have a soft pitch. Very few events will allow you to have a hard pitch. But if, let's say, you don't have a pitch at all, most people at the event will want to buy from you because you just spoke for them for about an hour, and you touched someone's heart, or you changed the way that somebody thought, and now they want to buy from you. Why? Because if they saw you for an hour and they trust you now, they saw that you know a lot about X, they want to know more, right? So events are a great place to generate revenue. Now, obviously, we have systems in place and things like that, and if you guys are here, you guys will get that system right after this event. So basically, the only thing that you won't get is our team running it for you, which is probably the biggest thing, but you guys will still have it for yourselves, okay? Now, how you can book events within 30 days or less. Get a list of 100 events that you'd like to speak at, and guess what? It only takes about an hour or two. And then after that, just pitch them, and I'll send you the exact pitch template of what to send, especially with the assets that you now have, okay? And I'm pretty sure you guys can book an event, okay? Now, if you do book an event, let me know. If you guys book an event from here, from this mastermind, and you record a video on it and you send it to me, I'll get you one more, okay? Cool. Any questions on this? Now, I'm moving fast, but I'm going to tie it up all together. But anybody have questions on this spot? So influencer system. So the influencer system is basically this in a nutshell. How many people follow, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody here follows some form of influencer, right? Like, for example, you guys know who Liver King is? Yeah? Okay, I follow Liver King. Like, I won't eat that, I won't eat the raw liver and stuff like that, but I follow him. So basically, the influencer system is this. Imagine if, actually, let me take a perfect example. Somebody raise their hand that, that wants to do the example with me. All right, Alexis. So actually, let's do Tristan real quick, and then I'll go to Alexis. So Tristan, so tell everybody what you do really quick, and then I'll give you an example of what you should do. Okay, so basically, and I know a little bit more about your company. So basically, he does. You work primarily with chiropractors, right? Okay, so do you know of any chiropractors that are incredibly big in the space? Okay, about how big? In terms of following or in terms of both. Okay. Yeah, 100%. So imagine if that 8-figure entrepreneur that is a chiropractor, which probably hasn't received any press whatsoever ever because he's not necessarily a digital marketer, now has Tristan getting him access to stuff like this, right? But instead of the 8-figure entrepreneur paying Tristan, he's now paying him with promoting him or doing a JV with him or doing an affiliate partnership with him. Imagine how much more business Tristan can now get because of that simple offer. When I first started out, the main reason I kind of got to the level of where I am is because I did a lot of free shit with a lot of big people, right? And I got a lot of people like Jason Stone and Jack Vale and things like that basically promoting me to their following, right? Jason Stone has 1.2 million followers. Jack Vale has 1.6 million followers. I did that all of the time. The goal with this system is to get 1 to 2 big level people a week promoting you. You know what the downside is if you only get one person to do it? The downside is it looks paid. Again, we don't want this to look paid. So I'm going to tie it in. I'm going to tie it in really quick. So in the span of let's say 4 or 5 months, you're getting press articles. You're now landing on TV. You're now speaking on stages. You're now getting a ton of shit for free. You're throwing a mastermind that you didn't have to pay for. You're now getting big influencers that are promoting you every single week. What starts to happen? I was expecting a response. But basically what starts to happen is the people's perception, the people that are following those influencers, the people that are following those stages, you're going to start to see your personal brand skyrocket. With any one of these, your personal brand will skyrocket, right? But with all of them combined, it just levels you up so much more. So again, I want this to be very high level because I want you to think bigger. There was one time I was speaking at Kent Clothier's stage. Who here knows Kent Clothier from Fine? Yeah, okay, good. So I was speaking on his stage, and I was super happy because I was the youngest person on that stage, and Ed Milet spoke there and all that type of stuff. And I literally told everybody, I'm like, my main goal is to become the Ed Milet of my space as young as possible. I want to be on more of those stages, right? But the main reason I'm trying to do that is because I'm thinking bigger. In fact, when I was young, the biggest thing that I wanted to do was become a WWE superstar. Yeah, I know. I'd get tossed around. But the main reason I wanted to do that is because of the lights. I wanted to, so PR obviously kind of gives that to me. But that's essentially what I wanted, right? I wanted to think bigger. And the good thing is my parents allowed me to think bigger. They never kind of brought me down. For those of you who don't know me too well, I was born with a condition where basically the left side of my body is a little bit smaller than the right side of my body, and it's called Russell Silver syndrome. So, my whole life, I didn't think that I was different, right? Obviously, I knew I didn't necessarily have a disability or anything like that, but my parents didn't raise me to essentially be different. So I appreciate them. I love them. I'm grateful that they allowed me to think bigger because it allows me to be in my state. It allows me to be in my flow. So the biggest thing is think bigger because you can accomplish a lot more. You only live once from what we know. And that's it. And then you die. Right? You guys, take advantage of everything. The speakers that are here, talk to them. There's no shame. There's no shame, right? I certainly don't have any shame. I'm going to live life the way that I want to live it. And guess what? Nobody likes it. That's the way that I want to live, I love it. I'm going to be the one that's happy about it. So think bigger. Get with bigger people. Be in a bigger network, speak on more stages. This constantly gives you a rub-off effect, right? When you're seen with other people, like if you just think about it, right? I'm going to give you another example, like Chris Winfield. So Chris Winfield is usually around the same people. He's with the Dan Fleshmans of the world. He's with the Ed Milet's, right? They all hang around the same people. You want to get into that room? This is one of the ways to do that, right? Get into that room. There's no shame. Now, obviously, they might not invite you in, but you have to be, obviously, someone of a higher level worth to kind of get into that, right? Now, again, this works for all industries. In fact, it's easier if you do it in another industry than digital marketing. Because I feel like, how many people get spam all the time on IG about press stuff? Yeah? Yeah, 100%, right? So, cool. All right, verification. Who here would love to get verified? Everybody. Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. And so the biggest thing that you need is you really need somebody on the inside that can essentially submit you. That is the biggest thing. Without that, you can have a ton of press and you can still apply yourself and not get it. There are people that are, again, much bigger than me that don't get verified. Because, again, it's about who you know in that area. So as promised for attending this event, I'm going to give you my direct contact to that. Okay? Now, for most people, getting verified, I mean, who here, why do you guys want to get verified? Because it's cool. I mean, that's probably the best answer. Because, to be honest, like, it doesn't necessarily, I don't even think it gives you insights. Like, special insights or analytics, right? But it's cool. I mean, I like it, you know. I got it on every platform just because I like it. But I'm going to give you access to my direct contacts. Basically, the requirements that you need is this. You need 10 article placements, usually as a requirement. You need your government-issued ID. And you basically need to be known as a public figure. Now, from this entire thing that I've just been talking about, in 6 months, if you do all this stuff that I was just talking about, you should be able to get it as long as you have the right connection. Articles alone does not make you a public figure. Okay? Podcasts alone does not make you a public figure. Everything combined, though, yeah. Any questions, though, on this? Nope. Okay. So bonuses, advanced. So this is for some of the higher level entrepreneurs. Or, I mean, shit, you guys can do it yourselves, actually. So NASDAQ. So there's there's different levels of press, right? There's the easy ones that mostly everybody can kind of get. Then there's a higher tier, which is like the Forbes, the Inc. Entrepreneurs. Then there's like the Business Insiders, the Fortunes, the Fast Companies. But if you were able to get a TV spot in, let's say, like NASDAQ, that would be huge, right? So after this, I'm going to give you the direct contact to be able to book you, clients, anybody that you would want on NASDAQ. The only issue is they charge to essentially get there. And their price is $10,000, okay? But that's actually relatively not that expensive for what you're going to get them. So you could, if you wanted to, sell this to other people for 11, 12, 15, 20, right? It doesn't necessarily matter. But this is a huge contact that you can get in contact with. Okay? Same thing goes with the NASDAQ billboard. Okay? You can pay. There's a lot of people that, when they do like a book launch or something like that, they'll go to New York City and they'll get an image there. I'm trying to do that if I release a book. And they'll basically get, their face on the NASDAQ billboard and things like that. Guess how much that costs to do? Most people think it's super expensive. 1,000? Shoot. From what I know, from what I got, it's like 7,000. But you know somebody better?
So I can get them for 500 in Times Square. So not necessarily the NASDAQ one, but so it's like the biggest thing that people don't realize.
No, that's crazy. I didn't even realize that. So everybody hit up Chris Winfield. He knows the plug. Cool. So how does this look like when you're successful? Again, or how does this look like if successful? You're speaking on stages. You're generating a lot of money from these events. You're getting published on articles. You're getting on podcasts. You're getting on TV. You start to become a public figure. And then your life starts to get easier. Who here believes that life for the influencer, the thought leader is easier? 100%, right? You know how many things I would have to pay for if I didn't do the barter system? It's amazing. I can get a ton of free stuff just because, of the connections and things like that I have. And getting free stuff is not bad, right? So, what was that? Just the boxes, yeah, you have to throw that away and stuff like that. But other than that, it's not that bad, right? So I truly, truly want you guys to take this into account, to do this for yourselves, because I can guarantee you your life will change if you start to become a public figure. Things start to become easier, right? In fact, who here actually has marketing channels where you're generating leads every single month from some form of paid or something like that, okay? The people that are not are usually generating money because of their name. I got by in the first couple of years with no marketing channels whatsoever, but because of my name, I was already generating high six figures, right? I know people that are actually here, that I won't name names, that are generating six figures based off of their name with no marketing channels whatsoever. No marketing channels means you're not doing any paid, you're not doing any lead gen, you're not doing any outbound. They just come to you. That's awesome, right? When business just comes to you, guess what? That's not going to last forever. You need to actually have marketing channels.